Hey everybody. It's my first time ever playing in Vienna, Virginia. Glad y'all came out. It's my buddy Austin Harper up here on the sad machine. There we go. Flashy guitar and playing all the best bars, but I hope you know how to smile, 'cause it'll help if you can shake it. That's the way you gotta make it when you're young and in your it's even harder in your youth. No one likes a tune that they've never heard, and nobody wants a song if they can't sing along. And so you give them brown-eyed girl. Something I could never recommend, but you won't never have to fear singing songs that folks wanna hear. And when you're done, they'll all shout amen. But it won't have no meaning, and them rhymes will come so easy, no message in your songs. Well, I've heard so many say you gotta fake it till you make it, but you won't be making nothing at all. For all these assholes hollering free bird and acting like I give a damn. I know I'm a crazy hack, and I probably won't be invited back, but I wasn't making much anyhow, and I decided not to sell what little heart that I've got left. Them gigs would surely kill me in time. I believe I'd rather be poor than sing them songs anymore, casting my pearls before them swine. Now I sure ain't saying this is a prayer worth praying. In fact, it's something I could never recommend. But you won't never have to fear singing songs that folks wanna hear. Like a silver-robed choir, the sun rose high through the blues. Set the pink sky on fire as I burn with desire and love with you. The back porch sweet underneath our feet as we danced in this golden hue. And the oranges of autumn were shimmering from underneath the dew. These colors are all that matter when you're already outside the lines. Folks won't understand it, but our love, it ain't black and white. Well, I found you last night as the blood moon shined in dying reds. Green in your eyes, it was accented by your lavender dress. You hit a long blank stare behind your purple mascara as I so pitifully confessed. Had a black cloud that followed. I was a formerly handsome mess. And like an evening primrose in midnight yellow bloom, you said to me, never met a man with no obvious plan and such honesty. And I've been broke too, in money reds and heart blues, and I've seen the darkest valley. You won't hear tonight, so let's paint ourselves lucky. These colors are all that matter when you're already outside the lines. And what we thought was just scribbles had become a pretty picture in this pale gray night. won't understand it, but our love, it ain't black and white. All right, well, here's a tune I wrote called Get Thee Behind Me Hippie. It's what you call a work of satire. If you don't know what that means, just look it up. There used to be people in America that called themselves satirists, but ain't nobody got the balls to do that anymore. Well, I've seen this graven image since I was a kid, of a long-haired and soft-skinned and limp-wristed Jesus in a flowing gown so fine, and looking like Woodstock in '69. I'm pretty sure this has to be some kind of sin. Everybody wants Jesus looking just like them. And I ain't never seen our Lord, but I sure can't believe he'd look anything like these old dirty hippies. 'Cause they walking around like Adam before he fell. I ain't saying they're the devil, but God, they stink like hell. Oh, get thee behind me, hippie. You know I went and seen this overrated hippie band. I've never heard a song, just one long extended jam. He's trash can hallucinating people in a trance. I seen a braless elderly woman doing an Indian dance, and them cross-legged boys reciting chants of the Sufis. And I have to admit them psychedelic lights were groovy, till the hippie that was running them started tripping on shrooms. He set his hair on fire and run out of the room. And then the fifth guitar player started on his 13th solo. And I threw up the peace sign and said, boys, I gotta go. Oh, get thee behind me, hippie.
Get you one there, hippie.
You know they had their revolution in the summer of love. They promised us peace, said they would change the world. Then Dr. King showed them the mountain above. But it's really hard to climb it when you're hooked on drugs. And they started fizzing out with that old Manson hate. You know them hippies had murdered poor old Sharon Tate. And when they finally climbed to power, they sent us to a war. Now everything is just as messed up as it was before. Oh, never trust a hippie. Johnny Rotten said it best. They got flowers in their hair, but no courage in their chest. Go get thee behind me, hippie.
be writing me no emails, I just delete them. It's like, that's been my number one angry email getter song. Which is funny because I got some songs that go in pretty hard on other things too. You know, Trump and all that shit. But I don't think Trumpers learned how to use the email yet. So. If they ever learn how to spell, I'm going to be in bad trouble. All right. See? We're in D.C., might as well. I left home when I was 18 years old. I got me a theological education. I went to 4 Bible colleges in 4 years. I met a woman from the eastern shore of Maryland at the 3rd Bible College, and I married her on the day after I graduated from the 4th Bible College. And we settled down in northwest Georgia. I worked for the first 2.5 years of our marriage. I think I had 17 jobs, and none of them over $8 an hour while I was preaching for free and working. And then we started having kids. And then whenever I was 25, I took an independent fundamental Baptist church in the mountains of eastern Kentucky. I started pastoring that church there. I split it on the first Sunday night I was there. I built it back up to about 60 people, and I split it again. And then I ran off what little bit that left was remaining from the split until I finally started going crazy. And this also happened to coincide with the advent of high-speed internet access in Middlesboro, Kentucky. And then I heard this guy named Bob Dylan on YouTube sing a song called "Blowing in the Wind," and it blew my mind. And then I discovered Townes Van Zandt, John Prine, and Lucinda Williams. Then I started trying to figure out how to write songs. And then I discovered that I wasn't fit for that. So I left there and I moved back to my mama's house with my wife and my 2 children and everything we had in a U-Haul. I was living with my mama for about 2 or 3 months, and I realized the only way for me to get out of poverty was join the United States military, which I did. And I went over to participate in Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom when I was 33. And I came home when I was 34, and here's a song I wrote about. It's called "The Western Stars." And don't let these pieces of shit ever tell you it's a good thing to do. Here it is. We were praying on Sundays, God, family, and country, and the devil we never consider. The strength of our youth and our sharpness of tooth, it was tempered by a Holy Spirit. But here under the sun, you know the weight of a gun, it rests easy on a young man's shoulder. So we marched past the graves as Uncle Sam called our name, and we became what he calls heroic. Soon the terror of a kill got lost in a thrill, and we'd laugh as the devil would tempt us, for God was on our side. Yet inside we cried and we doubted he'd even forgive us, 'cause mercy goes far 'neath these old western stars as the blood dripped from our fingers.
This morning we raged at the dawning of day, as we sat lone and idle. A white morning dove flew down from above, and it mounted on my buddy's rifle. And in silence we sat as our hearts turned to black, and my buddy, he pulled the trigger. And when the gun smoke dispelled, we found our souls in hell, and the devil much more than a tempter. Yes, the devil much more than a tempter. Yes, the devil much more than a tempter. Came back from the desert, I was already 34 years old, and I had been writing songs since I was in my late 20s. Just writing songs, for myself, and singing them to my wife sometimes, but mostly just to the walls of my room. And when I was over in the desert, I was looking out one day across the, I was in this place called Al. I looked out and the sky was red, it looked like blood, because all the sand up there ain't got no moisture to hold it down, and so and there ain't no trees to knock down the wind, so the wind just picks up the sand and it just glows red in the horizon all the time, and it looked like he's on a different planet, and it don't look good at all. It puts a certain feeling in you, and then I started like, I had a lot of time to sit over there, I don't know if any of y'all's in the military, that you just sit around a whole lot. And, well, I was sitting over there and thinking a lot, and I was like, man, I was a middle-aged man, and it occurred to me that all I'd ever done with my adult life was bring violence into the world. And with the military, before that, all I did was put negativity out in the world, and the kind of preaching I did. And I had such an overwhelming sense of grief about the whole thing. And but I had been writing these songs, and so I told God if He'd let me come home, I'd try to start singing the songs. And then when I was 35, I started singing the songs to people. And then some folks liked it, most people didn't. That was about 10 years ago in October. And I ain't big shit or nothing, but I get to travel around the country and I get to meet people. I get to see this beautiful land. Sometimes I get to go overseas and see different countries. And it's all just it's like I'm going to wake up from a dream and be back in that damn desert again. But anyway, here's a song I wrote to God. It's called Love in the Dark. Saw your light on a revival hill, a sinner's delight, as I begged my heart to steal. And I walked out into the night on a teenage thrill. I never meant to close my eyes till your light grew dim. And now, Lord, I ain't asking for a brand new start. I just need your direction on finding love in the dark. See, I went out to disciple, to set the mountains ablaze, and I had every answer. I knew just how to be saved. I thought I wanted to be a preacher. Maybe I just wanted a stage, 'cause I was called to the floor and I didn't have nothing to say. And I used to quench my candle. I used to pray for a spark. Now I'm content in the struggle of finding love in the dark. In my youth, it was a waste on the ancient scrolls when I decided not to hang on the great unknowns. It ain't that I've been looking toward the grave. Lord, I look to hope. I'm just praying that the rivers of grace do downward flow. 'Cause your light, it ain't always shined, and I never figured out my heart. So now I'm just feeling through my midnight, finding love in the dark. Sorry, man. All right, well, thank you. We long ago had passed the part of the show that was planned out. That was the first song. Yeah. I usually get an idea of what I'm going to do about 2 minutes before I do it, and I come out here and do it, and then I just wing it the rest of the time. Let's do Out of Alabama.
All right.
Here's a
when I first started doing my songs, you know, I was already in my middle age, you know, and people feel real sorry for me. You know? And there was this place. We were fortunate back in 2016. We had this little room down in downtown Mobile. It was much smaller than this, a very tiny room, but it was called the listening room. And the fella. I went down there and asked him, I said, hey, I just played this songwriter contest, and a few people asked me when I was going to play my next gig. And I said, Mom, would you let me play down here? He said, yeah. So he gave me like a Tuesday night or something. And there was 14 people, and 12 of them was kin to me, you know. And then, but the fella there, his name was Jim, he was like, man, I really like what you're doing. So he gave me a monthly thing there. Well, after a few months, we started getting more folks, you know, to come out. And there used to be this lady, she'd come up and sit right up at the front every time. And after about 3 or 4 months of this, she said, hey, I'd like you to come out here to the Blues Tavern. There's another venue there in Mobile where it's like a juke joint thing, you know. They were like, we'd like you to play at the Blues Challenge for the Gulf Coast Blues Challenge. And I was like, well, I don't play blues music, you know. And they were like, oh, it don't matter. And I was like, I don't know about that. And then she was like, well, we're having, you know, there's a big crawfish bowl, and it's free, you know, if you play. And I was like, well, I'll be there. You know? I'll eat some damn crawfish, you know. So I went down there and filled up a crawfish, and then played a couple numbers, and then I went back to eating crawfish, and then they announced the winner, and it was me. And I said, wait a minute, y'all have made a bad mistake, and because I don't play blues music, you know. And they were like, oh, it don't matter. By the way, you're going to the International Blues Challenge now in Memphis. And I was like, oh, God, you know. So I represented the Gulf Coast Blues Society at the International Blues Challenge about 1 year into me making music. And where I failed miserably and got voted out of the first round on account that I didn't play blues. That's true. I got voted out along with Muddy Waters' grandson. Meanwhile, an optometrist from Vermont, a white optometrist from Vermont, he all, you know, he ran away with the grand prize. He had to blues something fierce and tell me. His guitar rig cost more than the house I had at that time. Man, he had the blues bad, I'm telling you. Y'all don't be getting your eyes worked on in Vermont. When I wrote this song, it was true. Well, she sparkled like a rhinestone in an old country singer's coat. Underneath them neon bar lights that was tinted with cigarette smoke. And she was sipping on this top shelf whiskey and slowly tapping her feet to the song my band was playing, to a slow and a bluesy beat. I was leaning back on the gig drum with a worn out Gibson in my hand, and I was playing them country blues just as sad as a white boy can. And she
sounded like a hallelujah when she said, boy, do y'all take requests? And then she whispered soft into my ear, and this is what she said. She said, I know you're trying hard, but you're gonna have to do much better. 'Cause the blues ain't gonna get you out of Alabama. And last night your band, it was hot, and tonight they're even better. But the blues ain't gonna get you out of Alabama. And so I took that guitar from off my neck and said, boys, y'all finish the set. And then I rolled the dice and asked that girl if she had the time to dance. I said, oh, what brought you to a place like this? She said, I'm just passing through town. As we twirled around in the neons on this whiskey carousel. And I could tell by the way that she looked at me that she knew my kind too well. I said, oh baby, I'll leave these blues behind, and I lay this guitar down. And together we can leave this funky bar in this old shitty town. She said, I know you're trying hard, but you're gonna have to do much better. 'Cause the blues ain't gonna get you out of Alabama. And last night your band, it was hot, and tonight they're even better. But the blues ain't gonna get you out of Alabama. Now there she goes out the door. Yes, there she goes out the door. Now I can sing the blues like I never sang them before. Yes, there she goes out the door. Well, here's your song I wrote in about 20 minutes. It took 2 weeks for me to make it rhyme, and it took me 6 months to learn it. It's called A. Partridge's 403rd Freakout. Hope you like it. Sometimes I think we're already dead, or this trap that I call time is just some inception like dream state we're in. As we lay dying, I think maybe we never existed at all. We're just some 5-sense hallucination, or just a mirror image of a higher reality beyond our comprehension. And I lie awake at night, I can't keep my mind from wondering about what know that nobody in this whole wide world can give you the definition of consciousness that doesn't venture off into religion or some kind of absurdist pseudoscience. And since I started listening to both sides, without caring on to which side I fell, I found out that there were more than two sides. If you really want to know a subject well, but Johnny Lydon made a more heartbreak as I thought about all the fights that have been started by two sides, and neither one of them were truly wrong or right. Then I started considering the brutality that I witness every day, and how numb to the sight of human suffering I'd become in my middle age. Now all the fascists and the commies been spewing out their dogmas, taking over the conversations. Any voice that's devoid of an agenda has been removed from communication. And I started thinking about the weapons of mass destruction, biological and chemical and nukes, and that we could have them all fired from the push of a button of this orange presidential buffoon. And so I started reading up on how I was going to survive a nuclear apocalypse, and after my research I concluded I didn't even want to survive to live in a world like that. So even if I try to be positive and I convince myself someday we might actually see peace, well, it's then that I realize in like a billion years or so our planet's going to cease to be, because the sun has gravity too, you know. We're being pulled in as we orbit. And if we don't find a way to destroy ourselves, then the sun's going to do it for us. And so about the world, then it occurred to me that all truth exists long before some learned man makes it known. I mean, if you think about it, E don't equal MC squared just because Einstein said it was so. And now considering this, science kind of seems like a waste. I'm going to devote myself to art. At least an artist creates something of value, a unique representation of this art. Then I look around at this plastic world and their frowning faces and their disdain for beauty, and I see all the poor starving artists dwelling at the fringes of a cold society. But you know that we would not have for release if it were not for this individual named Beethoven. And we'd certainly not have the White Album if Paul McCartney never met John Lennon. And I said, well, maybe that's my problem. I miss my Lennon. Somehow that chance done passed me by. And that's the reason I'm sitting here singing this stupid song and losing my freaking mind. And then even this stranger thought my tortured mind began to ponder. Lord, I wonder what if Einstein would have met McCartney first while John Lennon was studying the great wonders. I mean, I ain't saying it would have been the Beatles, man, but it would have been interesting to see what they put out, because I know that Einstein had some pretty cool hair, but I wonder if he could twist and shout. And maybe if Einstein had been singing, oh, blah-dee, oh, blah-da, instead of drafting the letter to Roosevelt that paved the way for a nuclear bomb, then a little boy from Nagasaki could have married a pretty young girl from Hiroshima, and they could have sang, oh, blah-dee, blah-da together and taught their children songs by the Beatles. And I can't imagine that the guy that wrote Imagine would have been any use in a science lab unless that lab had the sole purpose of giving world peace a chance. And so we gotta get men into science, and Einstein and McCartney, we got scientific work of Albert Einstein. So la 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 la, turn off your mind. La 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 la, turn off your mind. La 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 la, turn off your mind. Selective mind. It's the devil's playground. Devil's playground. Thank y'all. Let's see here, we probably got time for a few more. Yeah.
Where does that kind of thinking come from? That's strange songwriting.
Yeah. Well, I just don't try to do but nothing but what comes in comes out.
Yeah.
I'm just a vessel. It's hard for me. Most of this shit I don't even remember writing. I'm also honest telling the truth. And then I look down and I'm like, oh man, I gotta sing that shit. Yeah, I don't know. I just like, when I was a preacher, I was the kind of preacher, I don't know how much y'all know about the Independent Fundamental Baptists, but they basically is the closest thing to to holiness without speaking. It's basically holiness without speaking in tongues, But I don't know, there's something about that. The reason these kind of things, I was a preacher, so I can talk better than I can sing. I don't want to get up here and talk too much, but I think there's something about all that, and that's the reason stuff like that endures. I don't know. What I'm trying to say is it ain't all that different than making preaching real. Just you got to put your antenna up. I think the better antenna you got, the better art you make. That's what I think, because I don't think art never comes from inside of us anyway. I think it comes from outside of us. Okay, there. Our TED Talk is over. Sorry about that. Well, let's see here, buddy. What we gonna do now?
One of them goods.
You ain't never known that. One time this guy did come up to me at a show. He said, hey man, you play that good one tonight now. I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, that good one. No, I don't. The ones that suck, I never play. Which one is it that you think is the good one? Here's a tune I wrote. I was back when I was preaching in Northwest Georgia. I was working back in them days. I worked for this factory. I built them things that paved the road, and big heavy drums they put on the front of the machine. They go pave the road, and I was working there Monday through Thursday, and then I'd have I'd have a 1 day Friday, and in the church that we was at, I had church on Saturday, and then on Sundays on Sundays I'd go when my preacher would go around the southeast holding Bibles and stuff, and I'd do it all over again. Well, Friday was my only day off, and so I went up, and me and my wife, we went up one time to, we was on our way up to Chattanooga, and there was this flea market on the side of the road I stopped at, and we stopped there and we was looking around, and I saw this VHS cassette. It was $1, and it was called Legends of the Country Blues, and had a guy on there that looked real interesting, and it was only $1, and so I bought it. And I didn't really know nothing about that kind of music, but I bought it home, and then the preacher didn't know we had a TV in our house, but we hid it in the closet, when he was there. We had to pull the TV out the closet, we watched that. Yeah, we didn't have TV back then, it was that kind of thing, Well, I watched that whole thing, and there was this guy, Son House, Son House was this blues musician and blues singer and bluesman. But he had started off as a Baptist preacher. And now there was other bluesmen that ended up being preachers when they was old, after they quit being bluesmen. But there was only one that started a preacher and it ended up being a bluesman. It's a different trajectory. You see what I'm saying? And I fell in love with him and his music. And I tried to play like that, but I can't. But I love Son House, and it's like he's been a huge influence of mine. So, he had a song called "Preaching the Blues," where he said, "I'm gonna get me religion. I'm gonna join the Baptist church. I'm gonna be a Baptist preacher, so I won't have to work." That was the first line. And so anyway, I wrote this song for Son House. It's my version of preaching the blues. It's about rock and roll music and fundamentalist Christianity, all living in the same brain at the same time. I know Elvis is the king of rock and roll, and Jesus Christ could save my soul. But no one ever taught me how to pray, so I ain't nothing but a hound dog another day. And I cried the day that Kurt Cobain died. He played the soundtrack to my teenage highs. And I wonder if he found peace by and by. Oh well, whatever, never mind. And stained glass could always soothe my soul, but God don't like rock and roll. And old Hank would sing the blues like a gospel song, then belt one out for the Lord like he could do no wrong. So I lived home trying to do the same, and now I can't get off this lost highway. And Bob Dylan was something like an old-time prophet, and my heart's all questions, now I just can't stop it. Or maybe my head needs some rearranging. Well, what can I say? I guess them times are changing. And the Delta blues are the hardest to play.
my son house trends, and so there ain't but one thing left for me to do. I'll join Son House and go to preaching the blues. I'll join Son House and go to preaching the blues.
Here's a song I wrote back whenever I was in the pandemic. You know, I quit my job. I got a family I got a wife and 3 children. Same woman I've had since that 4th Bible college, and she's been with me about I think it's 22 years, or maybe 24. She's been married to a Baptist preacher and a military man, and now whatever the hell you call this, you know. And I've only been married to her the whole time. And she's a great woman, and she's back at the house taking care of everything. And I was working as a civilian for the Air Force up until March of 2019. I was working 50 hours a week, and then I'd go out on the road on the weekends, and finally we had enough of that. So March of 2019, I quit my job and started doing this full time. That was 1 calendar year before one thing that y'all might all remember. And which then I didn't know what to do, so I did what any normal, sane person would do, and I started going up into the mountains of Appalachia and recording the previously undocumented music of the serpent handling churches. And that's what I've been doing for the last 5 years. And about 2 years into that process, a buddy of mine named Farrell Gibbs, who at that time was working for the Houston Chronicle, started making a podcast about my work with the serpent handlers. And it's called Alabama Astronaut. It ends with a letter T. It's singular. And he put it out on all the streaming platforms. It's 9 hours long. There's no advertisements on it. It's completely free. If you'd like to listen to it, you just type up Alabama Astronaut Podcast into whatever you type that kind of shit into. And, it's only 9 hours long, and you have a limited exact time on this earth. And I know that you were all dying to figure out a way to spend 9 hours of it, so you're welcome. And this is a song I wrote. It's called Alabama Astronauts. It ends with the letter S, and it's about an alien invasion in a trailer park. And the two things have absolutely nothing to do with each other. And if you were to make your podcast about your attempt to document the previously undocumented music among serpent handling holiness churches in southern Appalachia, and also write a song about an alien invasion in a trailer park, I would suggest that you would do more to differentiate them in their titles, or else you would be left having to make this same damn disclaimer every time you sing.
All was quiet in the Back 40 trailer park last night. I mean, there were a few domestic fights and them usual petty crimes, but I was feeling alright. I was drinking whiskey with my Sprite, and I was toasting all those ghosts of the lost southern pines when I heard a lurking in the night. I knew something wasn't right as I was covered in the white of this otherworldly light, and I looked up and I beheld it was a spacecraft from another world. At least that's what I thought I observed, 'cause I ain't learned, but I can certainly confirm that there ain't nothing on this planet ever turned at the angles and the rate of speed at which it surged. And then I heard my neighbor Wanda. She was cursing in slurs as the UFO swirled, and upon her trailer it converged, and she was carried away away in this tractor beam. It was a horrible scene. Her hair was still in rollers. Her nightie was busting at the seams. And her scream made it got all the more extreme as she flew through the air to this extraterrestrial machine. I said, oh my God, this can't be a dream. Cause I mean, yeah, I know I've been drinking and probably even smoked a little green, but I can't stand LSD, man, and this would be an hallucination supreme, even obscene. And so I jumped into action like a Vietnam era Marine. I said, now this is gonna be war. You know, I'd seen one before. I had a stash of ammunition underneath my trailer floor, and I'd heard freaky stories galore from Bubba next door. And it sure ain't my ass them aliens gonna probe and explore. So I got me a 12-gauge pump and an AR. I got my granddaddy's government-issued K-bar. I said, you aliens, y'all should have never came down here. Now this is gonna be war, cause I've been waiting on them aliens to come. I've been waiting on them aliens to come. I've been waiting on them aliens to come. So I threw some cover fire and I jumped and I crawled to my truck. I knew if I was gonna beat these aliens, I'd need distance and luck. And so I sped through the muck until I ended up over by the fence line. I hunkered down in the brush. I started sighting in my gear when this little green man appeared, and he looked right through my soul. Why in my eyes he stared, and I knew he must have got scared when he saw that I had no fear and that I'd smoke his little green ass without shedding a tear. And then he disappeared, and I said, God, now this is really getting weird. And so I ran through that trailer park like a redneck Paul Revere. I said, the aliens are coming. Now there ain't no sense in running, boys. Let's take our stand here, y'all. Let's do some extraterrestrial hunting. Cause I've been waiting on them aliens to come. I've been waiting on them aliens to come. I've been waiting on them aliens to come. Now stars fell on Alabama, and a lot of other shit has too. But the last thing we were gonna take was being pursued by an alien crew who intergalactically flew through time and space just to land into the back 40 trailer park. And yeah, we made our mark, we beat them aliens back, and then we did it in the dark, and we found Wanda, and her only remark was that she gets they had to abduct her, but in her nightgown, man, that was just harsh. And I even stole a little space traveling card. I got her out in the barn, me and Bubba painted camouflage. We're soon about to embark as an interstellar white trash, Lewis and Clark. We're gonna call ourselves the Alabama astronauts. Cause I've been waiting on the aliens to come. I've been waiting on the aliens to come. Oh, there you go. I've been waiting on the aliens to come. I sound as stupid as I do. I've been trading my time for not enough, skipping the bills and riding the bluff, running a race that wasn't designed for me to win. But it seems like every morning I just get up and do it again. I said I'm sorry at least 1,000 times, numbered my curses and drew out some lines, saying prayers. It's getting hard to believe. It's like I'm throwing out a wish list, expecting God to heed. As another day closes, I didn't know had begun. I'm just raising up my fist at the setting sun. Tomorrow is faster than I could ever outrun. Now I'm just trying to find a pretty way to say I'm done. Yes, I'm just trying to find a pretty way to say I'm done.
Well, the sunshine just feels like some sick joke now. It haunts my thoughts with each passing hour. I'm finding less and less to look forward to. The skies are turning gray and the flowers are afraid to bloom.
As another day closes, I didn't know had begun. I'm just raising up my fist at the setting sun. Tomorrow is faster than I could ever outrun. Now I'm just trying to find a pretty way to say I'm done. Yes, I'm just trying to find a pretty way to say I'm done. As the hours grow to days and the days grow to weeks, I'm overwhelmed in the silence and cycles repeat. As another day closes, I didn't know had begun. I'm just raising up my fist at the setting sun. Tomorrow is faster than I could ever outrun. Now I'm just trying to find a pretty way to say I'm done. Yes, I'm just trying to find a pretty way to say I'm done. I got a good gal that wears her hair up high. The boys all whistle when she walks by. Why don't you mind your own business?
Mind your own business.
Yeah, mind your own business.
Mind your own business.
But if you mind your business, then you won't be minding mine.
Get it there, bud. Minding other people's business seems to be hard, so I got all that I can do just to mind my own. Why don't you mind your own business?
Mind
business. You won't be minding mine.
Now brother, that's my headache, don't you worry about me. Why don't you mind your own business?
Mind your own business.
Yeah, mind your own business.
Mind your own business.
But if you mind your business, then you won't be minding mine.
Y'all give it up for Jack Barksdale over here. Y'all give it up for Austin Harper over there on the sound machine.
I was in East Tennessee, just a-passing through, my guitar in tow, feeling pretty blue. I was getting kind of car sick and homesick too. My head was pounding, but I was pushing through. See, I was 3 weeks into the tour of a kind where you don't make no money, there ain't no sense in trying. I was playing for exposure, I guess, wondering how many people died from shit like that. But I was born a folk singer way down in my heart. I ain't doing it for money, I ain't about to start. And like most artists, I'm prone to get depressed, and poverty don't help you out of stuff like that. Depression, that is. So I woke up that morning, I was down and broke. I gassed up my car and I hit the back road. It was just 4 hours to my next show, so I had time to kill. I was driving slow when I came upon a flea market stand. And I ain't never been the kind of man that'll pass up one in the Appalachian Hills where you can find weird stuff at pretty good deals. There was produce, antiques, and buffalo hides, and apple butter, and mason jars, and welding supplies. An old couch like my granny owned, broken fax machines, orange traffic cones, and Indian beads, and homemade knives, even a livestock section. To my surprise, there were pigs and ducks and a billy goat, and there were cages full of chickens stacked in rows. And now me and my wife, we started out in the country, and for that, my friend, we sure feel lucky. Cause we both got a love for gardens and such, and chickens always held a special place in our hearts, in our stomachs. Well, the flea market man said, "Hey, can I help you with something?" I said, "No, buddy, I'm just a-looking. I'm out here on the road, burning time. I'm gonna look at your chickens now, if you don't mind." There were Dominickers, Orpingtons, and Wyandottes, and Rhode Island Reds, and Plymouth Rocks, and Golden Comets, and White Leghorns, and Jersey Giants, and Australorps, and Delawares, and Cornish, and Naked Necks, and German Creepers, and Speckled Sussex, and Silkies, and Brahmas, and California Greys, and Coachies, and Fannies, and Old English Game, and Well Summers, Aracanas, and Easter Eggers, and Blue Andalusians, and Barnvelders, and Black Stars, and Amberlinks, and Issa Browns, and my favorite of all was the Mystic Morans. I said, "Damn, that is quite the assortment." Well, now let me be clear, I gotta get this straight. See, this story demands you get my mental state. I'll sit behind a mic and wear a big grin, but that ain't always the fairest picture of what's happening within. See, I've been making it now as a troubadour.
But lately I've been wondering what all the hell for. Yeah, I'm chasing the ghost of Woody and Towns, but what would I do if I finally tracked them down? And I've had a habit since I was a kid of jumping into something and running right out to the edge. And by the time I was old enough to see this pattern, it was too late for me to do that much about it. And I can take a thought running through my head, and I'll think it till it about thinks me dead. And I'll make a monster of almost anything if I let my brain get up and get away from me. And sometimes the road, it'll put me in a trance, and it'll bring out my demons and make me watch them dance. And by the time I get back straight in my mind, I noticed a couple days done passed by. Well, I'm sorry, I ain't trying to overshare it all. It's just part of the story. Well, I was staring at the chickens, adoring the feathers. I was putting fingers in cages, trying to pet them, studying the way they moved around, the way they held themselves, and all their different sounds. I laughed at the roosters, interacted with the hens. It was a soap opera in each and every pen. And then it dawned on me, and I said, whoa, would you look at the variations in a rooster's crow? Some a cock-a-doodle-doo, some a cock-a-doodle-don't, and some a cock-a-doodle however the hell they want. And some will sound a grunt, some will sound a yell, and some sound like they're dying, some will give you a scare. And now the flea market man, he had a nice southern drawl, so we were shooting the shit and making small talk. He asked if I'd ever raised any birds on my own. I said, yeah, but not since I've been out on the road. He said, my boy plays a banjo, he's pretty good too. Now what kind of music is it that you do? I said, I play the kind of songs that a leghorn would play if he was trying to get the Dominicker hen to lay. Some eggs, that is. Well, that fella looked at me like I was stupid. He must have thought I was crazy or drugged and loopy. What made me say it, I still don't know it, but it made perfect sense to me in the moment. And maybe my thinking of singing chickens, it stems from my early childhood obsession with the rooster that sang the Roger Miller tune in the Disney movie, the Robin Hood cartoon. And I thought, what if that rooster had laid down his guitar and joined Robin Hood and taken up arms? He could have been a spark in the People's Rebellion that wrangled back the freedom from the Nottingham sheriff. And just about the time the thought became clear, I became convicted of my need to look in the mirror, because right now they're robbing poor to give to the rich, and all I can do is sit around here and sing about it. Oodle lolly golly, what have I become? Well, you see what I'm saying? Once my mind gets loosed, I'll turn the thread till it becomes a noose. So I took a deep breath of that chicken shit air. I slowly exhaled, running fingers through my hair. And then the flea market man, he walked away real awkward. And me, I never know when to quit talking. I yelled, don't you want a leghorn singing the hens? Trying to get in the land egg just for him. But he ignored me and walked on about. I said, God, please help me learn to shut my mouth. I tried to play it off, I faked a yawn. I put my phone up to my ear, acting like somebody called. And then I turned around all nonchalant, and I locked eyes with a golden lace wine dot. I was mesmerized by his eyes so red, and it might sound funny, but it was getting to my head, because he was staring at me. I stared right back at him. Was he sizing me up, or was he even aware? I thought I saw a universe in his eyes. Then I wondered what was going on just behind. How's the world look through those red eyes? Does he even understand the passing of time? Like, does every single moment refresh anew? Does he face the horror of existence without a clue? Cause I ain't never seen a chicken with a weary sigh who's been up all night in a coop of crying. You know, they get up every morning, put their face in the dirt, and they spit out the mud and they swallow the worms. Then they peck around without a care in the world. They peck and peck and peck again some more. They practice reproduction, then go to roost and run it back in the morning. Cock-a-doodle-doo, and now the chicken never flinched. It's like he couldn't scare. It only grew the intensity of our locked-in stare. Then once I started thinking on it, you know, I've never learned to just live in the moment. I'm always haunted by my future and past, what's left to gain and what losses I've had. And might I be the only one of my kind who found these thoughts in a chicken's eyes? And then he curled his head and he lowered his his beak, I yelled, "This Wyandott's got a beat on me." I balled my fist, I began to sweat. I tried to leave, but I was feeling trapped. I screamed, "What's this thing, a bird or a demon?" Songs in his eyes that wouldn't let me leave him. I hope this wasn't sung like Edgar Allan Poe, cause at the end of that, the raven took his soul. Then all at once, existential dread, it flooded my heart and it drowned in my head. I said, is there a hell? And what is sin? And why can nobody tell me what consciousness is? And how does anybody expect us to live with the ominous certainty of ever approaching death? Well, the flea market man said, "Hey buddy, now listen, you just can't stand here and scream at my chickens. Wipe that sweat off of your brow and get your way up and out of here now." So I left that joint, I got back on the road, I got here to Vienna just in time for this show. I tuned my guitar and corded my mic. It's been real good to be with y'all here tonight. Now here's a message for y'all. Won't you please take heed if you ever find yourself in East Tennessee and you're a bit wigged out and scared of the road. I want you to be real careful about where you go, and if you see that old flea market stand, don't you stop or so much as wave your hand, because I'm telling y'all, I damn near lost my mind looking into them chickens' eyes. But hey, at least I got a song for you. And now everybody likes a talking blues where you can turn your pain right into a joke if you write it in a verse and sing it to folk. And maybe this will be my legacy as a writer. I took my struggles and turned them lighthearted. I think of what my favorite artists left behind, turning their agony into rhymes. You know, Bob Dylan was something of a tortured character, yet he won the Nobel Prize in Literature. And I'm certain that in the coming years he'll be named right alongside the great William Shakespeare. So I do my best to keep a holding on to what mind I got left to try to write these songs, because I can live with a curse or I can make it a blessing. To be or not to be, that truly is the question. Old Willie Shakespeare said that. And don't you never stare into the eyes of a chicken. I said that.
Thank y'all. Hope to see y'all again real soon. Appreciate y'all coming out.